Welcome back to the Let's Have a podcast. Today we're joined by Reece from Yamaha, and we're going to unpack why great video meetings mean nothing without natural sounding audio, and then explore how Yamaha systems fit into the wider ecosystem and deliver great audio for businesses. Welcome, Reece.
Hi, thanks very much for having me.
So Reece, tell us a little bit more about Yamaha's role in sort of the world of audio-visual and where you guys fit in.
Yeah.
And sort of how you've expanded, because Yamaha are quite a wide product set.
Yeah, if you need tennis rackets, skis, anything like that, we make everything. But no, Yamaha is actually an audio company from its outset. So the first thing we ever built was a reed organ, and that was built by our founder, Torakusu Yamaha, back in 1887. So at the heart of everything that we do, although we do motors, we do sports, we do everything else, we're an audio brand. And that's always been key as part of the philosophy of Yamaha as we move forwards. Now, we have always focused on musical instruments. However, since getting into more recent history, we started to look at a broader range of products in the audiovisual space.
Okay.
So in 87, we introduced the first ever digital mixer, which was the DMP7, which was part of the DX7. So it was actually designed to go alongside a synthesizer, but musicians started using it as a separate mixing board instead.
Right.
And then since then, we've kind of grown in that world, and we grew bigger and bigger and bigger. And when we saw that grow in pro audio, we decided to kind of, again, expand the product range that we had available. Mm-hmm. So if you look at like 2006, we moved into the unified communications world in Japan. We've had speakerphones there since 2006. 87 again, we actually introduced our first networking product as well, which was the RT100i, which is our first ever network router. And since 2014, we've had a whole range of install products available, which include DSPs, amplifiers, speakers, as well as the unified communications equipment. And in 2020, that's when we actually kind of formalized everything with the kind of more meeting room stuff that we obviously do day to day as well. So there's such a broad range that we make. I could go through the entire history of Yamaha, but we haven't got 3 weeks for this podcast, I don't think.
So let's focus then from 2020 onwards, because you mentioned that's sort of when it was all formalized.
Yeah.
We're talking about sort of like new products, right?
Mm-hmm,
and sort of where you guys are innovating and where you might be sitting different. And I suppose what we would call it is the pro audio space for meeting spaces, because it's not out of the box. It's not plug and play to a degree.
Yeah.
So talk us through sort of what Yamaha are doing, what's new from you guys, and sort of from that 2020 onwards point.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason 2020 was a big point was actually nothing to do with COVID, which obviously everyone's going to look at it and go, meeting rooms, technology, COVID, you know.
Of course.
However, this was a planned move because we purchased Revo Labs back in 2014 and then merged it all together, et cetera, et cetera. So 2020 is when the merger all happened and everything moved forwards. It also marked when we released our new range of product, which was the Odessia range. Now, the Odessia range, for those who are listening who might not know what that actually means, it's our meeting room conferencing system. So it's everything from microphones to networking to DSP to output, everything that you need for a meeting space. When we introduced that, the goal was to create a natural sounding environment and to make that environment as flexible as possible without actually people having to interact with the technology. So it's a lot of automation in the technology to make sure that when it goes in, the management of it is very, very easy to do for the end user. And simultaneously, you haven't got people who aren't used to interacting with this technology having to worry about press what button, do what, etc. So as you kind of alluded to, it's designed to be as automated as possible, really.
Yeah, fantastic. So, I mean, from the forefront, when we speak to our customers, we're often sort of telling them that a great video meeting is kind of useless if the sound doesn't work. You can sort of forgive a little bit lower quality on the video, but you can't with sound because you can't be heard. The meeting becomes pointless. So I guess from your guys' perspective, what's the focus on that component, and why is the clear and consistent audio so critical?
So, I mean, it's you know, if we were to cover these cameras right now, for example, everyone would still know what was going on because they'd be able to hear us. They wouldn't be able to see our pretty faces. I've had a face for radio for many years, so it probably would do everyone a favour, but everyone could still know what was going on, same as a telephone call. Whereas, obviously, if we were to close these mics off now, unless you've got a degree in lip reading or something along those lines, you're just not going to be able to understand what's going on. So the audio is the most critical component most of the time in any meeting space if you're talking about hybrid meetings. Now, what we've tried to do is, as I say, keep a natural element to that as well. And the reason being is that there's a lot of research out there that says about if audio is over-processed, basically means that the people on the far end of that call are going to switch off, they're not going to be paying enough attention, etc., because of the fact that obviously they are being affected by the way that this audio is interacting with their body.
Okay.
So what we've tried to do is to make sure that the sound is as natural as possible, so that it feels as close to us being in the room as possible with this technology. And that's what we've done. And we use certain things like we have a proprietary algorithm called human voice activity detection built into our Odessia system. That will basically, without going too far into it technically, it will pick out human voice against background noise.
Okay.
So it will mean that you're not picking up all the annoying scrapes, aircon, etc., that actually you would filter out if you were in the room, but if you're on the far end of a call, it's going to be really intrusive.
Yep.
So it's to try and make it as clear as possible.
Okay, that's very interesting. I mean, the other piece being, audio visuals quite a wide sort of industry, I suppose. So how does the Yamaha range, probably more focused on Odessia, how does it fit into other AV setups, control systems, that kind of thing? How open are you guys with that sort of
thing? So actually, I mean, I guess as I alluded to earlier, as everybody knows, we make pretty much everything in some form of industry. So the fact of the matter is if we turn around and said we're not going to partner with a certain brand because we compete with you, we'd never partner with anybody. So with the Odessia system, we've been as open as we possibly can be. And basically what that's allowed us to do is to set up multiple kind of cross-manufacturer partnerships. So if you look at people like Ava, for example, Lumens, we've got a couple of camera manufacturer partnerships with them. So they work with our technology, very easy to set up. It means you can do camera tracking, etc. We've got technical program partnerships with people like QSys and Crestron, so we can integrate very easily as part of a kind of either a legacy system or a larger design system. We have partnerships with Lenovo. We work with companies like ScreenBeam, and we are Barco ClickShare certified, obviously Team Zoom certified. We work with the Utology. So we've basically got every partnership you can possibly think of.
Sounds like
to make sure that A, if there's a legacy system, or B, if there's a system which is requiring something outside of what we can do, that it's as easy as possible for you guys to integrate and for the end user to manage as well.
Perfect. I mean, you touched on a few of these before and a few of the features that you're saying that your range has that's proprietary and that you guys are doing differently. Is there anything else that you guys are doing? And I suppose at that point, you sort of gave a real world example of what that looks like from, getting rid of an air conditioner noise, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Talk us through some more real world sort of meeting environments and the things that you guys do to differentiate you.
Absolutely. So one of the key things that differentiates Yamaha is that we are basically trying to encompass the entire system. So I can't think of another manufacturer off the top of my head who literally builds everything that you would need in that audio system, from input to networking to DSP to output as well. And what we do is we pull off of a lot of the technology from other areas to learn from what's been done and to basically integrate that into the technology that we have here. So in Yamaha, for example, we were the ones who invented soundbar technology. And we pulled a lot from what we learned from that to put into our VXL column speakers that we put into meeting rooms, etc. now as well. So one of the key USPs is that we can provide absolutely everything. So from a support perspective and from a setup and control and management perspective, it's absolutely hands down the kind of best way to go. But in terms of features of the actual system as well, there's some things we do, like, as I say, echo cancellation, noise reduction, etc., that a lot of other companies have got. Pretty common. However, there's some things which are proprietary, such as that human voice activity detection, or we've released a program called Provisionaire Plan. And what that will do is help to automate the design procedure as well. So what it basically does is it means, again, from both a setup and from a rollout perspective for the end user, it's much, much easier to do because we're taking a lot of the calculations out and making that a more automated process.
Very good. I mean, one thing that we also see when we talk to our customers and potential customers about this sort of stuff is downtime. I mean, reliability, right, is a key thing in everything that we do, and it is technology at the end of the day. So how reliable is the Yamaha stuff?
Well, it's to be honest with you, I love this question. To be honest with you, Yamaha, as everybody knows, Japanese company, and the Japanese ethos is extremely focused around quality of product and longevity of product in people that have actually purchased it. So what we don't want to do is say, great, you've bought the product, see you later, we'll see you in a few years when it breaks or whatever else. What we actually want to do is say, you've bought it, that's you sorted for the next 15 years, and the only reason you're going to replace it is that it will become outdated and something else will replace that instead, rather than it breaking. Now, we've seen this in a few different walks of what we do. I mean, the LS9 mixing console, for anyone who's watching who is an audio head, the LS9 mixing console, there was a joke that used to go around the industry, which was the only thing that would outlive it or outlive a nuclear fallout was LS9s and cockroaches, and that's it. And that's because of the fact that people still use them, and they were launched in, blimey, the 90s at some point. But we've got some more kind of relevant installs as well, such as Harrods, for example. They've had out amplifiers for years. None have ever gone wrong. And the long and short of it is that we want to make sure that we go through a really stringent QC process so that when something's installed, that's the last time people need to look at it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, that makes life a hell of a lot easier.
Exactly,
for us as well.
That's it.
Well, speaking of them and these solutions that we are going down, how flexible are they, I suppose, with growing with businesses? I mean, we're speaking a lot about the meeting room technology and where it fits in that. I mean, what's the expansion on that? Like, where does it go from there? It's obviously beyond meeting rooms, you know?
Absolutely, it is. And the thing is that, again, you know, when someone invests in a Yamaha product, we want to make sure that the hardware isn't changing every couple of years or whatever it might be, because at the end of the day, someone's invested a lot of money in this and they want to make sure that they're investing that for the long term. So the way that we keep this relevant and that we keep up with making sure that it's as flexible as possible is by releasing firmware updates instead. Now we try to keep these minimal but big. So the long and short is you're not updating your firmware every month or whatever it might be. It's maybe once every 6 months. Now, an example of this is the last firmware update for the Odessia system actually released room combination software for it. So what it allows people to do now is if you have a meeting space with a movable wall and you've got an Odessia system in each, you can now program it so that when you move that wall, the two are basically going to be able to talk to each other as one system. So that wasn't available as the Odessia system when it was first launched. It became available as part of the last update. The new update that's coming will allow us to auto mix 64 channels of wireless audio, wireless microphone audio through our digital signal processor. Weren't able to do that before. It adds an AI denoiser to further build on that human voice activity detection that we've already got. And it also adds an automation for voice lift within a space as well. So, you know, all these things, rather than packaging that in a new hardware package to sell new hardware, is free firmware updates that come as part of the Odessia system. And again, it's a very Japanese outlook. All the software, all the firmware is always free because we want to make sure that the control, etc., once you've invested, is there for you to be able to utilize.
Those partition rooms and making that a simpler process, is that through a partition sensor of your own? So is that leveraging third parties? No,
leveraging third parties. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we build everything, so keep your eyes open. But for now, leveraging third parties.
Very good. I know you've spent a lot of time talking about like corporate use cases for your sort of solutions. Now, I know personally that you guys are much wider than that. Like, I know you do a lot in like stadiums and event spaces. Talk us through some of those. A
lot of football stadiums, and I say football stadiums, any kind of sporting stadium really. Post-COVID, because during COVID, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a track here, but this is just an interesting story. During COVID, we released an app called Cheerer, which was designed so that, you know, when everyone had the cardboard cutouts in the stadiums? Yeah. It was designed so that... You mean you didn't get one? It was designed so that basically customers could speak into this app and it would amplify so they could cheer for their team in whichever stadium it was. You can imagine how that went very wrong very quickly. But the long and short of it is that stadiums post-COVID, there's been some movement towards how they change their model. So rather than just being, we're just going to bring people in, it's going to be, how do we bring people in, create an entertaining atmosphere, and so on and so forth. So we supply some more standard legacy products to these, things from mixing consoles all the way through to some of that background music technology that I was talking about earlier. A good example, which is down the road from here. I'm from Essex, so for me it's down the road, but it might not be to you guys, is the Manchester City stadium, the Etihad Stadium. That's a full Yamaha and Nexo fit out.
Okay.
So Nexo is a company that Yamaha own as well. And basically the reason that we own Nexo is that we wanted to increase our portfolio above what we could do from our point source loudspeaker range. Nexo supplies some of the best line array in the world. So the Etihad Stadium for the main area has Nexo line array hangs, and then in all the concourse areas, etc., it's all run by Yamaha in terms of amplification, DSP, and you'll see Yamaha little speakers everywhere as well.
Okay.
So we've got the ability to look after anywhere in a stadium, for example. And again, it gives you that advantage of being under one roof as well. So that includes all networking infrastructure, everything else as well. But the interesting thing about the direction they're going in now is looking at immersive audio and looking at how immersive audio can actually, again, change the way that both the customers experience a football match, rugby match, whatever it might be, but also how advertisers experience the way that their adverts are actually displayed. So a good example is there's an example at a football stadium where, and I can't mention names, but basically around the outside of it, there's it goes around the digital boards. So basically it follows, but the audio doesn't really follow around at the moment. So we're talking about immersive audio processing and how we can create that to create an immersive audio track to go alongside that as well. So immersive audio processing is a big thing at the moment, and we've got a product we launched not long ago called the DNE7, which is a 256 by 256 processor, but it has the ability to process immersive audio with whichever speakers you want to go with as well. So it doesn't limit and prohibit in the way that it has done in the past.
Okay.
So yeah, Stadia, for example, is a big part of what we do, and it always will be. And we have all the tools and resources internally to be able to do it.
So looking ahead then, I mean, you've been in AV for quite some time. Bit harsh, but anyway. So
do I really look that old? Does it show?
No. So what trends are you sort of seeing, I suppose, now?
Yeah.
And what are you seeing that may be coming going forward, or where this is going? I mean, it might be a chance to speak more on AI, because that seems to be the buzzword at the moment. I suppose, what are you excited about?
Do you know what? I was going to try and avoid talking about AI in this, but it is just what everybody's looking at the moment. So, I mean, the AI agency side of things and everything else, it's really exciting to look at and to see where all of this is going. We saw the Microsoft Copilot side of things doing the real-time translation in the presenter's voice, etc., not long ago at an event that we were at, and that was absolutely crazy to see that working in real time as well. So, if I'm being honest, things are moving so quickly at the moment, it's difficult to track exactly where it is that it's going to end up. But what I would say is that from a standpoint at the moment, in the market, what we're seeing is a real movement, obviously, of trying to bring people back to office spaces and things like that.
Yeah, no, that's coming.
And what that's calling for is larger spaces now to be looked after with their AV, rather than just smaller meeting or huddle rooms. Yeah. So we're seeing people who are asking for a much larger coverage area in terms of amount of microphones that we need in the space, speakers that we need in the space. And what that does is that speaks to a lot of the heritage and history of what Yamaha's done in the past. So, as I mentioned, 1987, we brought out our first digital mixer. Actually, we are the biggest mixing console supplier probably in the world. We supply the West End, obviously large stadium tours, football stadiums, etc., etc. So what we've got is we've got the technology to look after those spaces as well as just the meeting rooms, etc. So we've seen a lot of town halls who need a mixing console at the back for an operator, be it one of our little DM3s all the way up to our £150,000 PM10. But we've got the ability to supply that as part of that kind of, Dante audio infrastructure that we've got as well. So we're seeing a movement towards larger spaces being looked after, and that's kind of where we're seeing things going. And in terms of the AI thing, to be honest, I'm not going to put a call on where it's going, because I don't think anybody knows at the moment.
No,
so
it's just guesswork, really.
Exactly, that's it.
So, I mean, you mentioned there about some of the bigger stuff and the price it can get to. With sort of like, say, let's say smaller businesses, sort of maybe more in the SME range. Then, they might be in a point where what we're doing and what you guys are doing from a Yamaha perspective is the absolute right thing that they should be doing. But there's got to be an element there to cost. So, is there a way, or is there anything that you guys are doing to help support that?
Look, I think when it comes to cost, there's a couple of ways of looking at it. And this might sound like an evasive answer on this, but there could be a few ways of looking at it. So what we have to look at is we have to look at the cost analysis in terms of the initial installation of the product versus the cost analysis of and the worry of going down the actual route of paying for cheaper product and having to replace that down the road.
Of course.
Because it's obviously not the quality level that you want. It's not got the longevity that you need for your space as well. And you've got to think about how this talks about your business as well. At the end of the day, if you're on a call with one of your clients and you're trying to sell to that client and they can't hear half of what you're saying, they will look at that and that reflects badly on your business. So there's a cost versus reputational and quality element that we have to look at. So it's more of an investment rather than just an outright cost. And we've seen a lot of people who during COVID, obviously, they invested very quickly into technology because they just needed to get something in. Yeah, we're now seeing the refresh coming around. And now that we're seeing that refresh come around, people have been burnt once, they don't want to be burnt again. So a lot of people are actually more open to, is it higher cost? Is it more reliable? Is it high quality? Is it more secure, etc.? Now, something we are looking at doing to help with this is we're looking at how to spread the finance on those products as well. So we understand that obviously for a lot of businesses, as you say, mid-range, etc., it might be a significant outlay and they want to do it. There's something standing in the way of that, which is that bottom line for that year. Yeah. So we're looking at opportunities to basically be able to offer like almost like a monthly payment scheme instead. Yep. And then giving them the opportunity to spread that over the course of 3-5 years, however long it might be. And by doing so, it therefore means that obviously they're going to be able to afford to go for the better solution, but they can build it into their cost plans year on year instead. So,
yeah, fantastic. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
And it's something that we are actually working on with you guys as well in the back end. So if anyone is actually looking at that, please do reach out. Geez, we've covered a lot. Is there anything else, I suppose, from Yamaha's side, anything that you guys might be bringing out that you can speak about? Maybe you're not meant to, but I don't know.
There's always something coming out from Yamaha. But no, what I would say is we hold our cards very close to our chests in terms of R&D and everything else. And the reason being is obviously because we want to make sure that when product comes to the market, it comes to the market in the right way. But what I would say is, look, this is a new area of business for us in Europe. And when I say new, people turn around and say, well, you said it was 2020, it's now 2025. In Yamaha world, that's new. Like, we've been going since 1887, you know. So we are fully committed to what we're doing. And what that means is there's a lot of R&D resource being pushed into this area. And there is a lot of focus being pushed into this area on how we actually deliver what the market needs as well. So looking at things like ISE next year, for example, definitely worth coming along to, because I'm sure we always have stuff to talk about at ISE. We're always innovating, and just keep your eyes peeled. But we've got a really exciting kind of, I would say, few years ahead.
Excellent. Well, a big thank you to Reece from Yamaha for joining us here today and giving us a deeper look at how their audio technology is sort of shaping the meeting spaces. If you do want to improve your audio maybe in your meeting spaces, maybe in sort of open town hall stuff that we've discussed earlier, or looking to integrate something like Yamaha or spread your costs, like I say, we've covered a lot. Please do contact us here at Clear VC. We're happy to help you out.